What up, everyone? Just some context to this. I was watching some Instagram stories, and a friend of mine, Kay, she had posted something where the officer had gotten physical with a man who was handcuffed, a black man. Fucking shocker there. And it almost made me burst into tears because of some of the trauma that I have faced. And I think it's time that I put my story into video, because this is my trauma. All right, here goes. After withdrawing from the college of my choice in a state of depression, I returned home and experienced something called depersonalization. It's basically like you're in a Snoopy cartoon where the adults are going meow 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 meow, except it's everyone, but you're just disconnected. Your body's disconnected from your mind, your brain, your emotions. It's a really scary feeling. I didn't even leave my house for a month, not even to smoke a cigarette in the backyard of all places. I just was very depressed. My parents were concerned, and my mom pleaded with me to see a therapist. I finally gave in to get her off my back. Shortly thereafter, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and put on medication. The story I want to tell, though, isn't about my diagnosis. That was just a little backstory. It's about what happened 3 years later when I turned 21. I started dating a new guy right before I turned 21. Now, drinking a lot of alcohol combined with the lack of sleep from going out all the time and the small amount of food I was consuming and eventually forgetting to take my medication is what my mom later referred to as the perfect storm, because it catapulted me into a manic episode. Somehow, by some kind of miracle, my parents convinced me to go see my therapist, the same one that I had when I was 18. Since I was diagnosed. Let's see. My dad drove me there, and he came in with me to the office, which I thought was kind of weird because he never did. And him and my therapist proceeded to tell me that I needed to be checked into a psychiatric ward so I could stabilize. And they were worried because my mania had completely taken over everything, and I lost it, because in that altered state that was not me at all, that altered mood state, all I saw were scenes from Girl Interrupted, and I vehemently refused, and I bolted from the office. I remember running across the street to a coffee shop and then quickly leaving when I realized I didn't have any money. I called the guy that I had just started dating about 20 days earlier, but he couldn't understand anything I was saying because I was crying hysterically. I remember walking down the sidewalk talking to him, and then darkness. I think that almost 12 years later, I still don't remember exactly what occurred between walking on the sidewalk while on the phone and being face down on the pavement that I had just so dangerously crossed. It was Federal Highway, which, if anyone's from South Florida, so Federal Highway is sometimes a dangerous street to cross. Anyway, I'm unsure of the events also that occurred, like in the timeline exactly. In my delusional state, I misunderstood the cops, and I thought that I had killed a police officer, which only made me fall deeper into my manic black hole. The reality was that I had allegedly scratched a police officer. I was charged with battery against a police officer and resisting arrest. This was my first ever arrest. I still, like I said, don't remember the exact order of events that followed, but I do recall some of the things that happened. I was transported while handcuffed in an armored car in the night. I was put into a holding cell, and the other women backed away from me because they were probably scared because I was acting a fool. I was extremely manic. I was not myself. My mood was I don't know where. I was locked in a solitary confinement cell where I met the devil. I was finally taken to a hospital since I had bruises and scratches all over my body from being thrown to the ground. I had also landed on my tooth, this one right here, and it became chipped as a result. I mean, all of this right here is fake. I think they might have done a rape kit on me since I was incoherent. There was, and I couldn't verbalize anything because I was so far gone. There was a TV in the corner of the room. It was on some kind of entertainment channel, and the celebrities' faces were twisted into themselves like this. It was like, it was a little scary. I still hadn't been medicated for what seemed like days, but it was probably only hours. Eventually, I made it to a crisis center, which was the only place that had a bed open. It was about an hour or so from where I lived at the time, and I recovered there for several days before returning home. What I learned later is that more CIT or crisis intervention training for the cops would have made the situation much more manageable. At the time, and maybe even now, I don't know, this was a while ago, due to budget cuts, police office departments were not given enough crisis intervention training. Excuse me. And there are organizations out there who are trained specifically to help those with mental illness. I hold no ill will towards my therapist who called the police or the cops themselves. Yeah, I hold some ill will towards them. I'm not gonna lie. I hold ill will towards the cops because this changed my entire life. I know that we all do the best with the tools that we have. I try not to feel anger when I think about this, but it's kind of hard not to. It was such a traumatic event for me, and I haven't really even felt ready with dealing with it and healing from it. And I'm 32 now. It happened when I was 21. It's coming up on 31, like 12 years now. Almost. March 10th next year, it'll be 12 years. Wow. Is that right? 21. I'm sorry. I'm sometimes bad at math. 2010, 2021. Yeah. And also the point of this story is not to upset anyone. It's not to garner pity. I don't need pity. I'm trying to tell this story because I want to heal from the trauma that I experienced. I want to put it behind me. I don't want to be upset about it anymore. And if my story can help even one person, that would make me ecstatic. I am very thankful to have gone through this because I've learned many things about myself and the injustices people with mental illness face, and even other groups of people for being discriminated against. It makes me more determined to help others learn how to deal with their disorder by sharing what I have learned. Looking back, I am a stronger, more determined, and more resilient person because of what happened. This also reminds me of my favorite quote, "Don't look back. You're not going that way," or "Arkana bakma, o tarafa gitmiyorsun." Today, I'm the healthiest I've ever been, both mentally and physically. I have incorporated a new sleep routine because I now understand how important sleep is for me. I do meditation, breathing exercises, and affirmations in the mirror every morning. I watch what I eat, but still have a little sugar from time to time. I do my best to exercise every day because if I don't exercise, I usually don't sleep well. Life is about a slow-paced kind of balance, in my opinion. The best advice I can give to anyone still reading is never stop trying to be better than you were yesterday. You are your only competition. Don't forget, progress, not perfection. Everything takes time. Good things come to those who wait. You never know what is around the corner or down the street. What's important is to never, ever give up. All right, guys, I think that's enough for me. Talk now for almost 10 minutes, so peace.